If you want to leave a comment on this video, here's how. Follow the link in the description to our blog and leave a comment there. All you have to do is make a fandom account and you're good to go. You can also follow the link to our tweet at TTTEC Radio and reply to that. We can't wait to hear your thoughts. Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another installment of Thomas Battle. I am your host, Trainking James, and I've brought 3 new contestants here to battle it out, and we've got an exciting show for you guys today. I believe all 3 of these guys are newbies to Thomas Battles. I don't believe any of them have done this show before, so this is going to be a nice episode. I love it when I have completely new rookies to break into the battling spirit. So, our first contestant is a person who's well known for his customs in the community. He has grown a lot over the years. He's gotten really good at his customs. He even gave me the red trucks that you see a lot in my videos. It is Ryatron 12.
Greetings, everyone.
Our second person is somebody I've known in the community for a very long time. In fact, one of my first friends in the community is Crimson2091.
Hey everybody, this is Henry here from 2091 Empire News, which is another show on the channel.
God.
Right.
In case you didn't know.
And our last contestant is a person who I've only gotten to know over the last year, but is an awesome person. I've met up with him a few times. It is Callantale.
Hi everyone, it's me, Callantale. Glad to be here.
All right, so today's episode, we're going to talk strictly about attractions. We're going to look at Thomas as an attraction. We're looking at amusement parks and Day Out with Thomas events and stage shows and all kinds of stuff that relates to Thomas strictly as an attraction. So this is going to be fun. It's a creative topic. I drew some inspiration from a recent Top 10s episode done by my fellow co-host on community radio, Lemmy and Multi. So, without further ado, we're going to begin with the first question. So, we're going to start out with our first question, and that is, what is everyone's favorite Day Out with Thomas location? This can be anywhere in the world. It does not have to be in the U.S., so you have plenty of options. So we're going to start with Ryan.
All right. Coming from someone who's never been a Day Out with Thomas, my options are really just skewed to what I see on the wiki and also online. But I think I'm going to go for the overall option. My favorite Day Out with Thomas event location is Strasbourg.
All right. We're going to go to Henry.
All right, so I figured a lot of people are going to pick Strasbourg. I mean, and rightfully so. It's a great day out with Thomas. But I thought I'd go with something different, more so something that I've actually been to. I've been to 2 Day Out with Thomas's, like 2 locations. One in Massachusetts when I was like 4, and then the one which I'm going with is the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois.
Interesting. Callantale, what is your choice? Spencer, I should say.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with Ryan here with Strasbourg. It's other than the B&O Railroad in Maryland and Baltimore, I've really been only going to Strasbourg as for Day Out with Thomas. And from what I've experienced ever since a little kid, I've really enjoyed seeing a live steam Thomas and being able to ride on him and like having the feeling of the wind rushing through your hair. And it was just an amazing experience that I feel fortunate to have grown up with through the years.
Okay, so we have an interesting conundrum. Ryan and Spencer, you guys can make a decision here. You can either argue this question together, and if you beat out Henry, you each get a point. You could argue the same points, but against each other, but you can't say, like, you can argue the same argument of Strasbourg, but you can't say the same points about Strasbourg about what you like about it. Or one of you can decide to change your choice. You change your argument completely and just kind of go off the top since you both chose the same thing.
Oh man. Spence, what do you think on this one?
I think this is a hard decision.
I mean, we could tag team two skinny boys against one big boy. Like,
I'm pretty skinny too.
well, I mean,
not
you're bigger than
skinny,
us.
But
Well, you're bigger than us is
probably
the main
taller
point.
than
yeah,
Ryan.
true, probably.
So what do you, Spence? You want to tag team on this?
Yeah, I think we should tag team.
Tag team.
All right. So if Henry wins, Henry will get 2 points since he's taking on 2 people.
Oh no.
We cannot think this through.
No.
Be ready for that, Henry. So you got an interesting challenge. So Henry, since you're the underdog, I want to hear what you've got to say since you're the only one fighting for Illinois.
Okay, so a lot of, like I said, it's really the only one that I remember going to because I've gone like the past 2 years, and the other one in Massachusetts I don't really remember that much. It doesn't have a lot of stuff that, Strasbourg might have. It has a live Steen Thomas, which is great, and then they also introduced a Mavis in like October, I think, and that was great too. But when it comes to the actual location, this is no jab at Strasbourg. Strasbourg is amazing, and I'd love to go there someday. But the Illinois Rowing Museum has some interesting stuff too. Not only during the Doubt with Thomases, it has a really nice route to go on when you choose Thomas. It has 2 different routes for Thomas and Percy. And not only that, but it also has this is more so part of the museum, not necessarily the Doubt with Thomas, but there's a loop of track that goes all the way around the museum, and there's trolleys on it, and they're completely free. You can get on them whenever you want, and there's trolley stops for it and everything. There's stops. There's a stop, where you can go, like near Thomas if you're like getting ready to ride the train. There's stops at certain sheds that have either engines or rolling stock you can go in and look at. And there's stops, in certain areas where you can just step out and see the view. And that's something before I went to that museum, I never really thought was a thing before. But now that I've seen it, it's really interesting. And I'm not sure how many other places do that. A lot of museums could maybe do that. But I really like that about the Illinois Railway Museum. And not only that, but it's in a cool place. It's in Union, Illinois. It's kind of up near Chicago, but it's out in the country. And it's a pretty small town, and coming from someone that's from kind of a rural area, it's really cool to see something like that going on in a place as small as that. It's a great place and like I said, it's near Chicago, so you get a lot of people that come from the city to come out and check it out, and it's a real nice opportunity to get out in the country and just see the views and check it out.
All right, Spencer or Ryan, either one of you can jump at it and say your ideas.
I think I'll go. I definitely think there are a lot of things in Unionville or Union, Illinois. My bad. I definitely think that sounds really amazing, but I think that Strasbourg has some sort of charm to it. It's like an actual working railroad. There are like freight trains and like people like working there. Like, Jaden 247 and Ed's Trains, they actually work there working with the freight work, and like there's actual trains that leave with like freight going to other places. And I think that like adds to the charm to the actual railroad. It's a real working railroad. It's not like it's usually mostly used for like passenger services, like going from the station of Strasbourg to the main up to the main line. But I think that like it's just like the feel, and there's so many stuff like to do around the railroad. It just adds to the feel of it. Not only are you in the in with history in Strasbourg, but you're also like the whole area itself is just full of history. Like the there's a lot of Amish farmland, and you'll see a lot of Amish like buggies riding to their homes when you're driving there, and it's just like an amazing, beautiful landscape. Cause, like you said, Henry, but I definitely think that like you can like walk to like the model shop, and there used to be a Thomas store right down there too. There's a big model display, and there's like you can like be able to walk or drive just a little bit to be able to reach these different places like the model museum and the Pennsylvania Museum with all the other trains and wooden railway toy display. And I think that like definitely really adds to the feel of the area. And as with your Illinois Railroad, the Strasburg is the same way. It's just a little east of a small town, not far from a small city, and it's about maybe like an hour or two away from Philadelphia. So I think definitely like Strasburg is like definitely like a very rural and magical place.
All right, interesting points. So I kind of want to hear you guys now knock each other a bit. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to really just kind of tear into each other's arguments a bit, kind of say, well, because you both mentioned things like you have this nice charm, it's rural, you mentioned things about the scenery. Talk about like what things about the Day Out with Thomas event itself that makes it just such a better Day Out with Thomas location.
Mm.
All right, so you guys can have at it. I like to hear from Ryan, honestly.
All right, so what makes Strasbourg better than the Illinois Railroad Museum is, firstly, live steam Thomas. And yeah, I mean, we could poke at the obvious that, it's the only live steam Thomas in the U.S., but there's no better way. Like, obviously, all the other Dale Thomases in the U.S. are all the dummy Thomas models. But honestly, there's nothing greater than being right next to an actual live steam engine with the actual,
I agree
like,
100%.
like the actual like steam, the actual whistles, the actual sounds and such like that. And just the fact it's the only Thomas in the entire U.S. what makes it even more special. But it's also the fact that, again, like Spencer said, it's an actual railroad. It's not like very much a heritage railroad or like a museum that happens to run live steam. It's an actual functioning railroad, which just dives you more in verse into like almost as if you really were on Sodor.
Or like
Itself.
if you really are on that railroad, sorry if I cut a little bit, or if you were really on that railroad in like the late 1800s, mid 1900s, once again. Because I have to input a little bit. Strasbourg is really the only place that that like actually like is like functioning like a real steam railroad in Pennsylvania. Like there are like other like steam museums in Pennsylvania, but this is the one I believe is like the only one that's like does actual passenger services and freight work all in itself. And there used to be like a lot of more railroads. Well, there's regional rail in Philadelphia that you can take into the city, but it isn't. But there used to be like a lot more interconnecting railroads around, and they've all been like destroyed, or like there's like very few remains of it. So like having a railroad that's like goes through most of like into like a main line is like with just steam engines and like a few diesel engines completely special. And like I don't think there's anywhere else like I could like replace it.
Yeah. And not to mention, even if you're not, even just so, there's so much history on Strasbourg on itself as a railroad. Like I know in the yards there's a bunch of old scrapped engines, and you get to learn the history of Strasbourg as well. But also because
Going to be restored, hopefully, in the
Well,
future.
we'll see. But also because very obviously Strasbourg was used during Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So any more of the fans who know more of Thomas, outside of like the series or even the railway series, like other stuff of it, you get to see the actual like
video.
Yeah, you get to see like the actual valley and the actual location where they filmed shots for an actual Thomas film, which just totally immerses you and makes you fall in love with the place even more. And it's just pure Thomas pretty much whenever you go to Strasbourg. It's amazing.
All right, Henry, I want to hear from you, and then I'll make my decision.
Okay. So, as Spencer said earlier, I remember saying like that there's actual, you actually see live steam engines and stuff like that. Illinois Railway the Illinois Railway Museum, they have that too. I actually want a guy I personally know, Sir R2D2 or Nick on Twitter. He actually volunteers at the museum for like every now and then, like as a fireman on the steam engines. And when you guys say, well, okay, so like the cargo stuff, like when it comes to freight and stuff, like you say it's like an actual railroad, and then like the passenger services, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just like double checking. Like I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but like when you guys say like their actual passenger services, do you mean like that they actually like use like the steam engines to go to like from like place to place or station to station?
Yes, there are occasions where during your ride at Strasbourg, there would be times where there would be people who would stop and get off at like certain places during the ride. It doesn't happen like a lot, but it does. Like I've seen it before. There's like people who like actually get off and the train actually stops.
Yeah. See, I don't think Illinois Railway Museum does that. I know other museums that like do that. One that's actually way closer to me, my uncle works at, or volunteers at, but those don't do deal with Thomas's. But anyway, I'm gonna be real. I got nothing.
All right, so that makes my decision easy. So I'm going to award the points to Spencer and Ryan.
Attaboy, Spence!
Hey.
I mean,
Wait,
Henry, you had a tough
they
challenge.
both get 1 point each, or they both get 2 points? Okay.
No, they both get 1
All
point.
right.
You would have gotten 2 because you were arguing against 2 people, but they get
Gotcha.
1 because they're working together.
Okay.
That wouldn't be fair.
I think these next ones, like that was a shot in the dark. I thought Strasbourg is obviously gonna win. I thought I'd be different, but I feel more confident about the deck. I feel confident about the rest of the questions.
Not gonna lie, though, Henry. The topics you brought up were actually really good topics, honestly.
Yeah, you brought up some good points. So, that being said, we're going to move away from Day Out with Thomas just for a bit, and we're going to get a little creative here.
Ooh.
Throughout the years of Thomas, we've seen a lot of episodes surrounded by things with food and stuff like that. So I gave these 3 a challenge, and I want you guys to pitch a food dish that can be designed from any Thomas episode. So you have a ton of episodes that either relate to food, or you can somehow make the dish thematically related to an episode. And I'm curious to see where you guys take this, because you have a lot of places to go. It could be it could be a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It could be an entree, an appetizer, or dessert. You have all kinds of stuff here. I want them to go crazy with this. I can't wait to hear what selections we have. So I'm going to go with Henry first.
Again? Cool. All right. So my meal is plaster-covered breakfast from Thomas Comes to Breakfast.
Sweet Jesus.
That's an understatement.
That's interesting. All right. So, Ryan, I'll go with you next.
All right. So mine is actually based off of the season 7 episode Something Fishy, and it's pretty simple. It's simply known as Arthur's Branch Line Special.
Okay, Arthur's Branch Line Special. And Spencer.
Mine is based off of a railway series story on Wilbert the Forest Engine called Percy's Porridge.
Oh, man.
All right, so this is interesting. We have a season 2 episode, a season 7 episode, and we have a railway series book. So we got some nice variety here. So, in your argument, I'd like to know, would you consider this an entree, an appetizer, or a dessert? And is it a breakfast, lunch, or dinner thing? So we're going to start with Henry because I want to hear more about this plaster breakfast.
Okay. Entree's like a meal, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like a solid.
Okay.
An appetizer is like a small portion you eat before the actual meal.
Gotcha.
An entree is
Okay.
a big part.
So it's gonna be an entree, and obviously it's a breakfast. And is it like? Do you want me to like give? You want me
Kind
to
of explain to me what's in the dish.
Okay.
and whether or not
So now it might come as a surprise. It's not actually plaster. Sorry to spoil the magic or the whatever. So you know, it's basically it's nothing like fancy, but one of the things would be pancakes, but not just syrup like what you usually have. But have you guys ever had, powdered sugar covered
Oh,
pancakes?
Oh,
So
that's
good.
fine.
They're so good. I love them. But the thing about it is that you put a lot of it on there
Oh,
because
God.
you got to make it look like it's covered in plaster. And then you also have eggs and toast. And you're not going to put sugar on those. That'd be gross. You put a lot of salt on it. And like and then,
toast.
and no, but there's more. There's more. Okay? So you would eat it like this is like a meal you'd eat at like a Thomas themed place. At least that's how I planned it. I'm not sure if like that's how you like wanted
That's
it.
kind of
to
the
be.
implication.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you're gonna eat it in a room with like a model of Thomas like crash through the wall because that's what happens in Thomas Comes to Breakfast, and then you're eating it and you're having a good time, but you have a lady dressed up as the station master's wife, or the station master's wife, and then almost the whole time you're eating, you just hear, "Just look what you've done to our breakfast! Now let's have to cook some more!"
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
does that over and over.
So you're not just serving us a meal, you're serving us an experience. That's interesting.
A very-
That's kind of going for.
Oh, man.
All right, Spencer, your turn. What are you gonna
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be very hard to compete against my Percy's porridge, but I was thinking similar to Henry's as it is a breakfast and it's an appetizer, a little small, and I was thinking that like it would be porridge. It would probably be like maybe like apple, because usually when you think of green and like a sort of flavor, it would be like sort of like an apple, green apple sort of flavor. So I'm thinking like since porridge is like similar to oatmeal in a sense, I would say that like porridge like it would be like sort of like an apple like flavored like porridge. I don't know how to kind of works. I just kind of thought of it and it reminded me of the story, but the big part is like in like the cafes in like Japan, you know how like they like put like some sort of like sugar on top or of some sort and like make the like a shape of a character and it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of like putting that with like Percy on it. So that was kind of my idea.
All right. So you have a nice little porridge appetizer. So you definitely are leaning heavily to breakfast. We have this breakfast experience with Henry, and we have this nice simple appetizer. Okay, I'm really liking the food options here. So Ryan, you had something
All right.
with Arthur.
Right, so Arthur's Branch Line Special. It's pretty simple. It's basically just fish and chips with a baked potato and and crushed lemon, obviously on it. But what makes it all similar, it's also kind of like Henry's. It's also kind of an experience because the place you're eating it at, I would also imagine this is like at an event because I kind of planned this out in case it was.
Yeah.
Basically, it's one of the fishing shops from the fishing village on Arthur's Branch Line, basically.
Ah,
And you eat within there. And basically the idea is that the fish is caught fresh and then served to you at said restaurant.
That's
I really
interesting.
like
I like
this.
that.
Dude, I think something that would make it. Well, actually, no, I don't. I wouldn't want to help you.
yeah,
Hey,
don't save
yeah,
that
go-
for the end, don't you?
Okay.
What were you
All
going to say,
right,
Henry?
so we got this nice fishing. I'm assuming it's a lunch dinner type thing.
Yeah, lunch, dinner, entree.
All
Obviously.
right, so lunch dinner entree. Okay, so we have a lunch dinner fish and chips entree with Arthur, specialized with him. We have this nice porridge with Percy. We have this breakfast experience with Henry. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to just battle it out. I want to hear, pros and cons to each of your meals, I should say, not just breakfast.
All right. So, Henry, your meal is essentially, it's essentially just put a bunch of contents on top of already fine foods. Like, you said a ton of sugar on it. I mean, I like powdered sugar on my pancakes, but the way you're saying it, I'm imagining like a mountain of it. And all you're going to taste is like, like the sugar powder at the bottom of like sugary cereals, like in the bottom of the bag. That's what I'm imagining, basically. That's all you're going to taste from it.
Ryan, you're saying that like it's a bad thing.
I mean, it's not everyone's forte is the thing.
Another
thing is,
like, I feel like it would be really annoying.
Their forte.
I don't think it would taste very good though, because it's just eating sugar at that point, and then salt.
No. Like, I have my ways to make it to where it's not like that, but I'm not gonna reveal it.
Okay, but then like the thing is, then salt, like sugar I can kind of get, but salt.
You don't eat salt. You don't put salt on your eggs.
No,
I do.
But even so,
yeah, when I cook my eggs in the morning, I put a little pepper, a little salt, like scrambled.
Yeah, man, it's good, bro.
I don't know if I use cayenne pepper.
I just don't put salt and pepper in my stuff. But even so, you're saying you put a ton of salt on eggs. Like I can understand you put like a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper in there, like James said. But a ton of salt though, that's gonna like really be not that tasteful for the eggs, because like you're just eating salt at that point.
You're kind of grasping the straws, bro.
I'm not, because
another problem with yours, Henry, is that like I don't feel like customers would want to hear, look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I have to cook some more, like over and over again.
No, here's the thing about that, Spencer. I get like if they were like normal people, like normal customers, of course not. Of course they wouldn't like it. But if you're truly a Thomas fan, you would cherish that experience for the rest of your life.
That's true, but like, what about little kids who don't know that episode? They'll be traumatized.
Like,
well, then they're not real Thomas fans if they don't know that episode.
What? I like to imagine just Henry co-owns the restaurant. Just like, I don't get it. Henry just goes up to this like, you gotta get out.
I mean, yeah, man. It's either my way or the highway, bro.
Well, like I said, kids are gonna get traumatized from this.
All right,
no, they're not.
Go after Spencer and Ryan's dishes.
It will. One more thing. It'll build their character, if anything. All right, go ahead.
More like build their gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. There's nothing wrong with that.
Why not both? That's still all right. Spencer, yours. Spencer's, no offense, but yours seems pretty bland.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's really just all I got was it's just porridge in a bowl. Like,
yeah, that's how I was imagining.
Nothing else.
Well, with like the Percy thing on it, like the sugar or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I got nothing to bash because all I can say is it's just porridge. And I sound so mean, and I don't mean to, but like it's just porridge.
I know. Like it was hard to like say like that was the first thing I was thinking of, and I feel like yeah, I'm bashing a little bit on myself here, but like I feel like maybe not many people would understand it, like understand the reference, because it's like a railway series story,
Yeah.
It's constant. I definitely think there's potential in that dish.
Yeah, I agree. I feel it's not really meant to be like something like super cool like yours, Ryan, like with like fish, and it's like a fishing village or like fresh caught fish or whatever. I feel like it's just meant to be like something like small and like something on the side. Like it's an appetizer. Like if you're asking for fries like as an appetizer, like it's just gonna be fries,
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, it's your turn.
All right, come at me.
Okay, so I mean, it's interesting. Like, it's probably the most legit out of any of our stuff. But I mean, you said to Spencer that like it's just like it's just porridge, and like you have like a live catch. It's kind of like a live catch restaurant thing, but like you can find that all over. Like it's nothing.
I feel like I don't know like
That's
where
true, but
you
again,
want
it's also about immersing into. It's like also an experience. Like I said, like you get to sit in a restaurant that's actually on Soda. You get to look out the window and see, like like probably like a model of Arthur on like the
Yeah,
fishing
but
village and
You
stuff
know
like
how
that.
much money that would
get
cost?
fresh cut, like you're
That's
gonna get fresh fish. Like the problem is like where is this gonna be? Is like
Okay,
I don't
Henry, you
know,
make the
like,
argument that it's going to cost a
side.
lot, but like, what about the giant like Thomas crash through the wall in your restaurant? Like,
Dude, I
paying
see
workers.
Thomas. Dude, there's like a large thing of Thomas, like at almost every Thomas event, dude. Like it's
That's
not
true, but
that
you
hard
see
to make a
that-
Tom. It is not that hard to make it. Not only that, but it's just like it's just gonna be like
Again,
like
if this
a
was made
mold, a
like in
mold for thing. Yours sounds like it's like supposed to be like a big live model or big live
Well,
engine
no, it's
that's
not a
supposed
live
to
model.
move
It's just a
stuff.
static model, obviously. But like, you're telling
problem,
me if they can
problem is
if they can like mold and afford a giant Thomas crash through the wall, you're telling me they can't afford like a simple Arthur model and like a couple of
Not
crates
really.
outside
I
the
don't
window?
think
just have to
so
put this
because
out
here's
here.
the thing: the mold, like finding a mold for Thomas is way easier than finding one like it's the most common mold out of any character. You're talking about an art. You're talking about a character that hasn't been seen since like has he been in CGI?
No, he
Has he?
hasn't.
No.
No,
You
he's
Yeah,
last time he was
exactly. He
season 12.
hasn't been around like since
See,
like
here's the
early
thing. Here's the thing.
model
I'm
or
kind of
early
adding
news
on to what
series.
Henry is saying. Like, think about it. If this was like made right, like if this was opened like this year, no one would understand like what it's supposed to represent because no one knows like the episode except for like true Thomas fans.
Well,
Like, think
the
about it
same can be
from
said about
Henry's
Henry's when
point of
Thomas
view.
comes to breakfast.
No, no, no. I want to combat that because, like, yeah, sure, it's from the '80s. The episodes from the '80s, and it's pretty outdated, but it still gets referenced to this day. It got referenced in Journey Beyond Sodor. There's still like kids books, like those little story time books that they make to this day. They're based on that story.
But it's off of something fishy, right? Like the episode
season
from
7.
season 7. So like, how would anyone understand like that reference?
Okay, but like the thing is though, like yeah, it's not. But like you telling me that most Thomas events don't have one thing that people won't get the reference to is the thing. Like I'm not saying like it's the best argument, but I'm just saying that
No, but it was like one big restaurant, like in the middle of nowhere. Like, come on, like no one would understand that.
all right, yeah,
Like-
but
Like, I don't know, I don't know where you were thinking of having it, but if this was like at a seaside, like random seaside, like city or village or whatever, I feel like not many people would understand
Here's
it.
the thing, like Ryan, I'll go ahead. Actually, no, I'll wait till after James like gives his point. But like, I'll wait for it after that. One thing I will say is that I do think Tom Scones of Breakfast would be more likely to be recognized than something fishy.
yeah, but you're saying that if it still gets referenced on the show, well, yes, it does, but like I don't think references are really gonna hold up to a restaurant experience that well, unlike a full
Well, here's
episode.
the thing. It's either like a story that's has reference and still has books on kids books based on it to this day compared to a season 7 episode that I don't think has ever been like referenced after that. That's the thing.
All right. So, I think I have my choice. And this one I deliberated hard because I was trying to decide. One had a really nice experience paired with it, but the dish sounded like something that the health inspector would shut you down over.
Yeah, fish is pretty unhealthy.
So I'm gonna give this point. Ooh. God, this is hard. I'm gonna give this point to Ryan because
Oh no!
I loved your experience, Henry, but this question was about the best food dish, like by pitching a food dish. I was with it with the whole plaster thing, but when you started mentioning dumping a ton of sugar and dumping salt in the eggs, it's just a bad combination.
No,
I
it's
think if
not.
you-
No, the sugar would be on the pancakes and the salt would be on like the eggs and
Yeah,
toast.
but like what you were describing, it sounded excessive. If you're putting enough salt on the eggs to make it look like plaster, then those eggs are just gonna taste like nothing but salt. It's gonna taste nasty.
Well, yeah. Do you think that that like the breakfast that got covered in plaster in the actual episode tasted good? I don't think so.
No one ate it. It was thrown out.
But
In your own
I'm
words.
giving this point to Ryan because I like the experience paired with it, but I did like the dish. I like the idea of the fish Spencer, I liked yours too, but I think it needed a little oomph to it. Like the porridge appetizer is nice, but I think you needed that oomph. And
Yeah.
I want to fact check a couple things. So, of all the episodes that stories that you guys are referencing, the one that I think people will get the best is Thomas Comes to Breakfast, because it was just
Yes.
recently referenced in Big World, Big Adventures, I believe.
Oh yeah, it was. It was also referenced in JBS.
Yeah. And
And in
you have
JBS.
in Wilbert the Forest Engine, I mean, that's a Railway series book. So you're kind of like, so I kind of thought about that argument, but then I kind of went back to the idea of the fish and chips inside the seaside, and the seaside village town, the part of Thomas Land. I think that was a really nice meal right
I
there. I think that's like a nice
better
food dish.
with like the Japanese Thomas Cafe in Japan because like that's where kind of like how I imagined it. Like I
Yeah.
feel like something served at like one of those cafes because like they're like really nice and they have like like if you get like a coffee it will have like a Thomas character on it and like that's like how I was thinking of it.
I like the idea. I think you just need a little more, just a little something to just get it to that next level. So, all right. So, next question is, we're going to go back to Day Out with Thomas. So this also applies to any international Day Out with Thomas thing, but what is the worst looking Day Out with Thomas model? It can run under its own power or it may not. It's the worst Day Out with Thomas model. So we're gonna start with Spencer because I don't believe I've started with you yet.
What well I think I have two on my list here.
So you have
I'd
to
say
pick
they're
one, my
both
friend.
very I think they're both very close to be equal, but I think I might be against a few people here, but I think definitely the UK models and the Japanese Day Out with Thomases just they're not awful, but I think they like look to me they look very off-putting because I'm so used to like Steam Thomas and and the um and the Thomases here in the US and I think that definitely I think that like looking at them like pictures of them and like at their events they look so weird and like off-putting. Like I'm pretty sure like if you were to go to like an event and you were like from that country and you've been to like those events, like feel like it would be normal, like a normal thing, but like to me as like an American, like going to Daniel Thomas's in America, it just looks really weird and off-putting and I've like especially like the Japanese Day Out with Thomas's. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Like these engines, they're like real steam engines, just like in Strasbourg. But I think it's like it looks really weird. Like that's not how I like would envision Thomas being.
All right. So here's the thing. That is a very broad answer, and I'm looking for one specific model. So you can't just say the UK models because there's a lot of versions of the UK Thomas, stuff like that. So you have to kind of, I'm looking for like one specific model of any Day Out with Thomas character that you think is the worst.
Okay.
So I'll give you a minute to think about it while I go to Henry and Ryan. So I'm going to go to Henry next.
Okay. I was looking for a picture of it because I couldn't find it, or like I saw it earlier, and I wish I got a picture of it in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about. I think you guys might, but I'm going with that A4 that has like I think it's Mavis's face on it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, that I'm going with that.
I'm looking at it right now.
Do you want me to explain, or do you want to hear Ryan's first?
I want to hear Ryan's, and then if Spencer needs more time, then I'll have you guys go into it. Then I'll hear a specific model.
All right. So my model is from the UK, and the reason I picked this one is for a reason I'll go into later. But when you hear the name, you'll understand why. Like it's not well known, but I think when you hear the name and I get into my reasonings, you'll understand why. It's the Mid-Hants Railway's updated James model.
All right, I'm on the page.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it too.
Oh.
What? Oh, mid hands. Okay.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh God, that's not even. All right, I want to hear it from you.
Oh, is it the black? Is it the black one?
Yeah, it's...
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of scary.
All right, I want to hear this from you.
All right, for me?
Yeah.
All right, so the mid-hands railway updated James. First of all, I can understand that not every Dale with Thomas event can get a class that is or is very similar to Thomas classes, because James' class is just dead. Or, like, it's pretty much almost dead. Or they're in, I don't know much about preservations, but, like, I understand they can't get very close engines. But, like, the thing is, though, this engine, first of all, it's black when James is supposed to be red. It has smoke deflectors when James doesn't have them, and it's their updated model. And the reason I say is because their original model, when I was looking through the wiki for this, their original model looks closer to James. It's red, it's bigger, yes, but it still is red, and doesn't have smoke deflectors, and it still looks more like James than the updated mid-Hans model. It's like they just downgraded when it's supposed to be updated, because when you think of James, you think of a red engine. And yes, James was black, but not many kids will know that. So really, it looks like just one of those Thomas characters. It looks like just like a random engine they slapped a James face on, and they're calling like one of their like random little custom engines that some Dale with Thomas event characters have.
Yeah, I just looked at the photo just now, and I see it.
All right, Spencer, have you figured out a model?
Yes. I had to go through a little searching because I guess I was a little too general with the UK models, but I think I'm going to stick with the UK models, and I just looked at a photo that completely kind of disgusted me. And now this is the Kirkless Light Railway Thomas. It does have a lot of detailing, but the shape and the face just is not ideal to me. I mean, like, it's a steam engine, but it looks like really weird and like really off-putting to me, and I kind of don't really like it. It's not how I see Thomas.
What was the railway again? I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a picture as you're
It's
talking.
Kirkless, Kirkless.
Yep, Kirkless Light Railway.
All right. Oh, I found it. Oh, okay. So, Henry, since you didn't go into detail yet, your turn.
Okay, so like I said, it's the A4 with like a Mavis face on it. There's a lot of, I mean, just by looking at it, you can see like why, I picked that one, right off the bat, but I'll go into detail about it. So, I don't even know where to start. Like, they just got a random A4 and then just placed a face in front of it. It's not even like attached to the engine. Like they didn't even like try and do something, like with Spencer's, like what they did with Spencer's face. Honestly, they would have even been better off if they just like, went Railway Series style and made it and just like kind of like paint, the face on and, make the face, like integrated into like the actual smoke box, Railway Series style. But like all they did, they just put like, so you guys know how an A4 is. It's like the front is like slanted. Well, it being streamlined at least. And they just put a Mavis face in front of it, and it's not like, and it's upright. It's a 90-degree angle, just upright, and it looks terrible. I don't know what they were thinking with it. I mean, I'm sorry if there's any listeners out there that like, I don't mean to offend anyone if that's like a model that's like close to you or if like there's a reason why they did that. I completely apologize, but coming like from a standpoint as someone that just like sees that and has no idea what's going on, it's like what like. And the thing about it is that the other two, like Ryan's and Spencer's, yes, like they brought good points as to why like their models are the worst, but at least and they do barely resemble what they're supposed to resemble, but at least I mean maybe not so more so less with Ryan's unless if you like see the face and you kind of recognize the shape. But especially with, Spencer's, like, yeah, it's nowhere near Thomas's, like, actual shape, but it's painted blue. It has the number 1. It has Thomas's face. You can tell that it's at least supposed to be Thomas. And then, with James, yeah, it's not the right color, and it doesn't have, and it has smoke deflectors when he's not. But you see the James face, you can somewhat tell that it's supposed to be James. Like, obviously you'd have to look pretty close, from that standpoint. But who is this? Like going back to the A4, who is that supposed to be? Like, is that like well, some like UK Dale with Thomases, they have they have like just their normal engines, and then they put faces on them. They're not really supposed to be any. I don't think they're supposed to be any like specific Thomas character. They're supposed to be engines with faces on them. And, honestly, that's actually, I like that concept. It's actually pretty interesting because they're engines that you might not see, you might never see before, and kids might ask you about those engines. It could go one or two ways. Either the kids will like be interested in seeing engines they had never seen before, or they won't be interested at all because it's not Thomas, or it's not Percy, or it's not James. But yeah, anyway, what I'm trying to say is if that's the route they're going, that's fine. But like, it just does not look good. It's just the face in front. It's not even on the A4. It's like propped in front of the boiler, and it just does. Imagine seeing something like that in the show. Like, you'd be freaked out because the face is just floating right there. It makes no sense.
All right, I want to hear Spencer and Ryan speak up now. I heard a lot from Henry.
All right. So Henry, the main issue with your worst model is the fact it's only one issue really. It's the fact that face is floating, or like it's 9 degrees upright, which yes is a problem. But like with ours, there's multiple problems with it. Like looking at Spencer's, they're like obviously the shape and all, and just like how squashed and proportionate it is. And with mine, obviously, like I went through just about everything, and it's just not the right color, which is like which is something that James is really associated with. This is red paint. The fact he doesn't even look like him, and like the fact this is his updated model. This was a model that was meant to replace the original and they could have made better. But instead, they took something that was fine the way it is. It wasn't perfect, but it was fine. It was a big red and tender engine, which is what James was. And they replaced it with a black tender engine, which looks even less like James in the original.
Here's... Okay, go ahead, Spencer.
No, yeah,
Oh.
Spencer.
Yeah, I'd say, like, with your Ryan's, like, I definitely see, like, where you're coming from, but I feel like, even with, like, the change in, like, the actual engine itself, I feel like in the photo that I've been looking at, I'm pretty sure that, like, what I'm looking at is what you're talking about. Like, it is James's face. Like, you can tell, like, probably children can recognize the face itself,
Right.
like, of James, but, like, I feel like that's like enough to understand like what the engine is.
All
Like,
right.
I
you
agree.
can usually, like, if you were to look at someone, like if you look at someone you knew, like you don't have to like care about what they're wearing. You can like recognize their face, like by looking at them, And if you look at James here with this engine, you can recognize like who this engine is by its face. And yeah, but like the
All
thing
right.
about the engine I chose is that like you can't recognize him at all. It's
Well, no,
I mean,
because you're saying that you can recognize them by the face. Looking at the Kirk's Light Railways face, it still looks like Thomas. It looks like Thomas is the thing. Because Thomas's shape is pretty basic. It's a small tank engine with side tanks. That's pretty common. And so is...
yeah,
And like the faces, if you're saying that you could recognize by the face, I mean the faces on both of them, the updated or the old one, they look like Thomas is the thing.
yeah.
Well, a thing about yours, Ryan, is that yeah, it's not the right color, but the thing about it is that like engines are like they're not always the same color. Like like James did used to be black, and here's why I bring this up. I get what you mean. I get what you mean when you say like James is known for being red, in that it doesn't make sense for him to be black, even if he used to be black, and I get that. But here's the thing: The Venture Begins just came out. Well, not just, but like it came out like 5 years ago, only 5 years ago in 2015.
Jeez.
Oh
And
gosh,
James,
you're old.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm making us all feel old.
Oh, listen,
But
I
like
started in the community when that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I
exactly.
joined
But anyway, like what I'm trying to say is that special's been around for a few years and it's recent, so it's recent with CGI and everything, so kids are more likely to watch it than the model series. And James is red in that for like the majority of the film. So like
You mean
a
black?
lot of kids that were to see that special and James being black and stuff, that would help the like that would make them more likely to like recognize James even if he's black, because they remember, oh, James was black before. This can be James, you know.
But yeah, but here's the
All
thing
right,
though. Not
so
everyone.
all right. I hate to cut you off. I have a winner, and I'm gonna give this point straight up to Henry because he has a point. He has a point that as bad as the James and the Thomas are, at least it's supposed to be James or Thomas. I have no idea what this Mavis-faced Spencer is supposed to be, because Spencer's not a girl, so it's not Spencer. It's not Mavis. It's just a face that they probably grab and say, oh, just throw this on an engine. And it's not even thrown on right, so I have no idea what it's supposed to be. At least with most of the other Day Out with Thomas characters, you kind of know at least who they are. Yes, James may be black, and Henry brought in a really good point about The Adventure Begins, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, he has smoke deflectors, but I mean, you kind of have to just improvise with some of these engines and base what you have. It's a shame that they got rid of such a nice... They had a nicer James model. I don't know why they switched. There's probably some logistical reason if I looked into it more, but Henry definitely brought it in with that Mavis thing. I have no idea what to call it.
My goal was to get at least 1 point. I've met that.
All right, so everybody's on the board. We've got Ryan with 2 points. Henry and Spencer tied with 1. So
How many do you have, James?
I have all the points because I
Oh,
control
that's
the
awesome.
Whoa.
All right, so the fourth question. We're going to do another pitch question. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen it. I saw one when I was a kid, but years ago, I don't think they do it much nowadays. They did a Thomas Live on Stage show, and I saw one. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one with like Thomas, Percy, and Diesel.
Hey, I saw that one.
I believe it was like Thomas Saves the Day, I believe is what it's called. And I want these guys to pitch a brand new live on stage show. Mention like the engines who would appear and what the basic story. Just don't have to go crazy with it. Just
Oh
give it
wait, so it's supposed to be an original like from scratch story?
Doesn't necessarily. If you want to have something, you can do that.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying, like, just give me a general story what you would do. So
Gotcha.
we're going to start with Ryan. I haven't started with you in a while.
All right, so my pitch for a live stage Thomas show is basically Thomas and Friends, Sodor's History, the musical. And basically, these two kids come to the island of Sodor with their parents, and they come to visit Thomas and all his friends. And, it's all right and all, but, like, there's, like, what's so special about Sodor, basically? And basically it's basically a musical adventure of explaining the history of Sodor and its railways and why it's so significant and why it's so important, basically.
All right, I like that concept. So we're going to go to Spencer next. What's your show?
All right. Well, I've never been to one of those live shows before. I think I was a little late on that sort of thing, but I I did have a nice idea of like a Thomas musical of like Thomas and the Special Letter, slash Eight Famous Engines, sort of like mixed into there, like sort of like jumbled in a way.
So
And
kind of like a musical live on stage adaptation of the Eight Famous Engines, like the book, or just that particular story?
or like the story of them going to like London
All right,
to
so you're looking at the Fact Controllers Engines, not the Eight Famous Engines. That's the book name.
yeah.
All right,
So
that's interesting.
basically it's like it's about, like it's usually like the start. It's just like how it goes the episode, but there's like added like, songs and like um like, and like it like shows like, and then like in the end, I'm trying to picture how this all goes. Sorry if I'm stumbling, but um at the end, the it turns out that the audience is like the people that they're trying to meet, and like you're watching how they progress
Oh, that's really cool.
story. And then at the end, it's all surprised that they look at the audience. It's kind of like a little fourth wall breaker in a sense. And um yeah, and then like the engines like talk to like the audience saying like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. I can't believe like we're actually here in whatever city," and like they actually mention like the city that like wherever it's like being staged in. And I think that would be like a really cool, interesting idea. And like I think that would be like really cool, and like the like real people and like the real fact, like a real fact controller, like actually like staging it. And I feel like that would be a really cool and interesting idea.
All right, this is this is really interesting. All right, I really like these ideas. So that just leaves Henry, I believe.
All right. Mine's pretty simple and to the point. Um, I'm on a real season 2 vibe tonight, or real something like that. I don't know, but I do like a retelling of the Duck and Diesel trilogy.
Ooh, a drama.
Now, now I get it. Thomas isn't in it, really. He's basically not in it. So that might be seen as a bad sign right away because kids want Thomas. That's a fact, I think. But I think that if you have, here's how I would do it. I'd have Thomas be, so you know how the show goes now with Thomas being the storyteller and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have Thomas do a telling of it. You have Thomas, being like saying hello everyone to the. I'd start out with him saying hi to the audience, like hello everyone, or yeah, welcome, and then he starts talking about like starts talking about a story, and like he says some stuff, and then he's like, let me tell you a story about how my friend Duck like had to deal with with an engine that was telling lies about him, and people believed it, like, and then it goes in, and then it introduces Duck and everything and all the engines and stuff. And from time to time, Thomas comes onto the stage and starts explaining what's going on. Like this, the Diesel knew how to. Diesel wanted to, the like the the trick that Duck played on Diesel really made him angry, or really made him cross, and that made him want to get revenge on him. So he did this, and you guys know what happens and stuff. And that's how I would incorporate Thomas into that story. And then, for the most part, it's just, Duck and Diesel trilogy. And I mean, you might be able to add a musical number here and there, to keep it, with the whole musical stuff that happens. But yeah, that's really it. Some short and sweet.
You guys presented some really interesting ideas here. So kind of want to hear you guys take each other down on your opinions. Kind of want to hear what you guys have to say about each other's shows.
I think I'll go first, I guess. I'd say definitely with Henry's. I feel like it would be really boring. I'm just gonna say that flat out. I feel like it's gonna be really boring to watch, and like Thomas like randomly coming into like a part, like explaining it. Like you don't. I feel like you don't have to explain like a certain scene of Thomas. Like in any episode, you don't have like Thomas like explaining like what's going on at all. I feel like you would be able to grasp the story without Thomas like explaining in the middle of it or like out of nowhere, and I feel like it would just slow everything down and make it like more boring.
And
You're
what,
no, hey, I wanna correct, like make a correction. It would like the story wouldn't just stop. Like Thomas would be, there to, not off to the side, but like he would be there, kind of as a out. I don't know what it's called, but it's like I don't know what it's called, but like he would be there, narrating as the story's going.
Another thing is like what our kids are gonna get out of it, like other than a moral, what are the kids are gonna get out of it? Like with like a
What do you
music.
mean other than a moral? Morals are like one of the main things about like these
I know,
classic stories. You
like,
say other than a
this is like
moral,
this
what are
is
they
an
gonna get
episode
out
of
of?
Thomas and Friends. This is a live show. I've been to like 3 Broadway shows, and like there are like morals, but like it's like people are looking for like the performance and the music, and I feel like if you're just gonna be like talking about a story the entire time, I feel like not many people are
There
gonna be
would be
interested in it.
music in it. I
And the
didn't say there wasn't gonna be
live
music.
shows that like that have been existed are mostly musical to entertain kids and not like lecture them. I feel like it's going to be like more of like a lecture about how not to like about like not to lie and stuff. That's how I'm envisioning it right now.
Well, here's the thing, like you've seen the Duck and Diesel trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Did it seem like a lecture? Did it seem like just like
No, but
a
like
story
but
being implemented?
think about how it would like go into like an actual like play. Do you think it's gonna go like a word by word story, like the word by word episode to play is what I'm saying.
yeah, not to mention, it really is just a retelling of the story, but live on stage and with
Exactly.
a couple of music numbers
I
thrown
feel like
in.
again,
Like,
I feel like it.
there's like no uniqueness into it. It's simply just a retelling. It feels like, honestly, when you mentioned like how Thomas is gonna tell the story like how he does in the newer series, that's pretty much what I feel like it is. It's essentially like a season 22, 23 episode where Thomas comes in, introduces
Yeah,
himself,
yeah.
talks about a story, and then he transitions into such said story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hear some stuff about Ryan and Spencer's shows. I want to hear those get
All right.
attacked.
So Spencer, your show. When I really like the end concept where like the audience is the people they're going to see, which that's actually genuinely really great. But like the rest of the story you said is basically just their way of getting to the mainland for the show, basically. I don't really see a lot of story potential in there, because like it's basically just them making their way to a destination. It's basically just get from point A to point B.
Yeah, but if you don't
Not
remember
well. Hey,
special letter,
I,
Thomas crashes into like the brick wall, and I was thinking like envisioning like there would be like some sort of crash, like and like that's the conflict, like like trying to get the main character Thomas, so
Mhm.
he can make it to go to the mainland or whatever city that
well,
it's
not
showing.
only that. Well, the thing about it is that I don't know. I know Ryan made this argument, but like I don't know if you did, Spencer, but if you did, like you said, my thing's basically retelling of Duck and Diesel. Like yours is kind of just a retelling of Special Letter with Thomas
Yeah, but
crashing
I'm
into
gonna
wall
add
stuff.
like
Another thing about it,
much on like musical numbers. I feel like I'm gonna put more emphasis on like musical numbers and like maybe adding more to the story itself than just being like just Thomas special letter.
I don't know, dude. I think Duck and Diesel would like there's more like there's more play. There's more musical and like more play
Yeah, but then
opportunity than special letter, because all what really happens in special letter
other
is
than like Diesel, like what would be the twist in this story? Like what would make like the audience like have a reaction to your story, your play or your idea?
like it's like you've seen the story, like you haven't reacted to it. The same could be said for special letter, is my point, just crashing through a wall. Like, I mean, there's been crashes in
It
Thomas.
brings in like excitement and like surprise. Like I mean, like maybe people
Well,
have
I
already
mean,
maybe people have already
but
seen
Duck and
the episode.
Diesel has a better crash in it because like Jane like Duck stops a runaway from crashing into a train. That's suspenseful. I'd say that's exciting, and not only that, but he crashes into a barber shop, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but
But yeah, hey, let me get to this one. Like, this is a point I've been trying to make like since like okay. The thing about the audience, like you find out that the audience is like who you're trying to get to. That doesn't make any like the thing about it is that like the like what's the point of that when the audience is already there in front of you? You don't have to travel to get there. Like, you're already in front of them anyway.
I feel like well, the thing is though, they don't know. Well, when you're coming into a show, you don't know if like you don't know if the I'm trying to put this into words. I think that like um I feel like you really got me in a stiffy. Um I think that like the problem is the thing is that like when you're going into a show, you don't know what you're really gonna expect other than like what's like the a very small premise. So like you don't when you're watching them going through like part of the um every part, but like they don't mention you as an audience. They don't know like you're like the actual like people who are gonna be like seen or like the actual like audience at the end thing. I feel like you're like you're watching through it and like that's a good thing because you know what's like going on and stuff. It's hard to put into words because I feel like in my head I can picture it perfectly, but like when I'm speaking it out, it's harder to say. That's kind of been a problem for me. I'm sorry about that.
All right, I
What
want to
the
hear you guys go after Ryan a bit more because I've heard a lot between Spencer and Henry.
Ryan's? What was yours again? I forgot.
It's
Yeah,
essentially family comes to Sodor, and the kids are like, oh, yeah, but like, why is Sodor so cool, and why is it so important, stuff like that? Like, why are there so many? It's basically just a musical adventure of the history of Sodor.
Okay, right away, that like the kids should already know why Sodor's so
yeah.
special.
I feel like
Like,
I
Well,
feel
the
like
parent. It
Thomas
could be. I mean, it could be a trip for the parents. Is the thing.
then so do the parents already know why it's
Yeah, the
special?
parents do.
Then
But
the
like,
kids
Yeah,
should
but
know
what if
too. It's
Oh, no.
Thomas
like,
Tank Engine.
yeah, but like, not every kid's gonna know what Tom's the Tank Engine is.
Yeah, huh? Even like in the Thomas universe, everyone knows like
yeah,
the Northwestern
thing
Railway engines. Like that's been a known that's been like a premise like almost since the beginning. Like every like Thomas like they say Thomas is the world's famous engine. Like that can like it's true. It can be true in real life and in the universe. Like, everyone knows like about like Thomas and like the main Northwestern Railway engines.
and also I feel like when you're talking about history, I feel like kind of like what Henry's was going on with. I feel like it's just going to be like a lecture about like, oh, in like whatever year King Godred did something something, and like something like that. That's how I imagine it as like
I will
sort of
say
like
this though, Ryan. I think if anyone would really, really enjoy your play, I think it'd be Ted. I think Ted could help you with that kind
But
of.
no, it's like with your guys' story, it's basically essentially a retelling of already existing episodes, but like with a couple things added. And this one is like you get to see, how King Godric became King of Sodor, like him
But
probably
like
fighting
you
off
already
other
know
knights and
that
kings and stuff
though.
like that. Not everyone though. Not everyone's gonna know the full history of Sodor, but everyone, like you guys said, everyone knows Diesel,
But like
like
it's gonna
the Duck and Diesel trilogy. Everyone knows Thomas the Special Letter.
Here's the thing about, and I'll
isn't
say
that
this: the thing
topic?
that I like better with like me and Spencer's story is that yeah, it's a story that's all like it's an already like told story, and it's not an original story, but it's a story. Like there's actually like suspense, like to both of our plays. There's a plot, maybe not a plot twist, but like there's a high point, and there's the characters actually have uh, obstacles they have to overcome in both of me and Spencer's ideas for plays. Yours,
Well,
like Spencer said, it's just a lecture, and they're just like, I don't know, man.
but not every live show needs a lecture or anything like that, or needs to have a story. It's just a main point of a live show is just meant for you to have fun and enjoy it and like love the characters
I don't
and like
know if I'd
and
have
what's
fun
presented
with
to you in
that.
front.
Doesn't sound fun.
Again, the
Yeah,
mystical
I'm being real-
adventures
I'm
with
being
the
real,
history
dude.
of
This doesn't
Sodor.
sound fun.
I mean,
All right. I think I've made my decision. So I've heard a lot. I love the concepts of all these shows. If I made like a Thomas Land thing and I had like a little stage thing to perform shows, I could see each one of these going on. However, the one that I really liked the most and I think was argued the best, I'm going to go with Spencer's.
Ah, no.
Because I think the thing with Ryan's is the history thing is they kind of got you that it's not a story, it's just talking about the history. And I don't know specifically what you're gonna do. I don't know if you're going for like an Adventure Begins type thing. You didn't really explain that, so I don't know to what extent you're going into it. And Henry's I like, but I think that personal connection with the audience that Spencer explained with his was a nice touch that I thought is going to really take this story to a very interesting place. It takes it to a deeper, closer, personal connection with the audience, and I think that's something that live on stage shows need. But I could see all three of these playing in a theater. These are good shows. Okay, so our last question. So this is very interesting. We have two players tied at 2, Ryan and Spencer both. If Henry gets this question right, or not right, but sorry, if he gets this question, he gets the point here. We'll have a very interesting first time on Thomas Battles 3-way tie.
Oh man.
oh,
If Ryan or Spencer get this question, though, they will win it. So, this question is basically the question that spawned this whole episode, and it comes from Lemmy and Multi's Thomas's Top 10s episode. And they were talking about Thomas Land and what kind of stuff they would put in a Thomas Land. So I asked these guys to pitch a potential Thomas Land attraction. This can be a ride, an experience, a restaurant, a place to go, a thing to do. You guys have total free range there. So we're going to start with, I don't believe I've started with Henry.
You
in a
started
while.
with all of us so far, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Henry, and I want to hear his.
Okay, mine's gonna be an experience, and it's in you guys know how in calling all engines, like when they're all like when the sheds are destroyed and they're all sleeping in their own places, they have those like dreams about what would happen if like the railway had to shut down. Percy's a roller coaster, Gordon's like a playground, Edward's a scarecrow, James is a clown. Like, I think that would be really interesting to like make like an experience or like a part of like the park about something like that, because like maybe not Edward so much, but the other three, like those are things you could find in a theme park or something, and I think that just nails it perfectly, because
What you're
Do what?
pitching is like a Thomas's Dreamland portion of the park that has like a Percy's roller coaster and
Yes,
James
yeah,
Clown.
and then there's a playground with Gordon in it, and then there's like James as a clown. But like with that part, you can add a bit more to it. You could that can be like a carnival game of some sort. Like
Yeah.
you hit James in the face with a ball or something
I
like
believe,
that.
I believe in the actual the show they were like throwing coconuts at like things positioned
yeah.
like this
Throwing
funnel
coconuts
and I don't
Yeah, something like that. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, that sounds fun. All right. Ryan, you're next.
All right, so mine is a ride, and it's pretty simple. It's basically Spencer's VIP speed ride, and essentially the story is you're going to catch the express, but you miss it. Gordon leaves, and you're like, oh God, I got to catch him before he gets to the mainland, obviously. So then Spencer's like, you need help? I'll get you help, and you hop on Spencer's train, and basically the whole ride is you rushing after Gordon and Spencer, just going top speed down the main line, passing other engines, probably causing a couple of mayhems here and there, and then catching Gordon right before he goes to the mainland, and then going on his train, and then heading your way off to the mainland.
All right. And Spencer.
Well, my idea is something I've a lot of inspiration from Disney World's Splash Mountain, but I think the title may need some fixing, but I feel like a ride with Captain as the starring role, like with the like Captain going through and like there's like a trouble or like someone needs rescuing and on the sea, and you're just like riding on Captain, and while like Captain's narrating and you're like in Splash Mountain there's like you can like look at like these animatronics or whatever like stuff going on, and like I feel like you could do something similar or something similar or something similar with like the search and rescue team, and like maybe with like Harold and um maybe Thomas is like stuck at sea or something, and like you're like going through like big waves and stuff, and like that's like how like the ride goes, like you would slide down like in Splash, like similar to Splash Mountain, and then at
You
the
kind of
end,
like, so I want to make sure I have this right. So you kind of going around just like Splash Mountain as like a rescue thing. And as you do the rescue, you do the big plunge down.
yeah, so like at the end there's maybe like I don't have like the whole like story idea itself. I'm more pictured it as like the ride itself, and then at the very end, maybe like something happens, and like you plunge down with Captain, and like you get splashed on. Basically, is the idea. So like similar, like basically similar to Splash Mountain, but with like more like Thomas eccentric stuff
All right.
to it.
All right, so attack each other's ideas. Give you all a few minutes to do that.
All right, I guess I'll start in this on like for this one because I don't think I've started so far like when it comes to this part of the argument. I'll go with like Ryan's first. So like first of all, Ryan, is your like story? Is it supposed to be like a like kind of what I like pictured? Is it like a virtual like experience thing?
No,
Like,
it's physical. It's like there's gonna be like an actual like coaster-esque ride to it. Basically, it's like it's like an indoor. If you know Indiana Jones from Disneyland, based like that. Where it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Oh,
Where
so,
it's
Okay.
not like virtual, but like you get to see everything that's happening.
okay.
so it's like
So
it's not like Space Mountain. Okay.
Yeah.
here's the thing about that. Like a couple things. Like first of all, so one of the main things is that I get what you're trying to do with like Spencer, like helping you get to Gordon's train on time. You're probably going really fast. But the thing about it is that you're probably planning on making it all like hilly and all wacky and turny and stuff like on a roller coaster or something like that. But the thing about it is that it's not necessarily like realistic. I mean, now I get, it's a theme park and it's not supposed to be, but like, or like, that it doesn't need to be realistic. But the thing about it is that at least the thing about like with mine, like there's a roller coaster in my exhibit thing, but like the thing about that is that they're dreams, like they're like anything can happen in dreams, and I feel like that would work better. And the thing, and you know, when you get to Gordon, like, do you have to get out of Spencer and hop onto Gordon?
I think
Or like
adding
how
one,
does that work?
By
if I you
by the
interrupt,
time you get to
adding one,
Gordon, it's basically gonna be at the end of the ride. And it's like, all right, just pull up to the next platform and we'll switch off, and then that's where you disembark.
But you're supposed to get on the Gordon. The whole point of like
Well, the idea is that you
Spencer is
disembark
to
off
get
the
to
Spencers
Gordon, right?
and
if I
go
may
What's
add,
the
walk
point
to
of going
Gordon.
there if you're not
what
even
are
gonna
you
get
looking
on
at?
Gordon?
What are you looking at in the ride? Like actually, like what are you looking at? Are you looking like in the coach? What will you see in the ride?
Well,
That's what
you'll
I'm
be
thinking.
riding in the coach. You'll be looking around. You'll be seeing Sodor. You'll be seeing other engines. Basically, you'll be
Is
seeing
this like
like
I don't know this like Indiana like Jones ride or
uh,
anything. Like could you like explain it?
all right, so off top, you basically Indiana Jones is like you're in a car basically, and you're rushing around the sets of Indiana Jones. Basically, you're seeing like the basically the inside of the temple like crumbling. You get to pick like one of the main like one of the three doors basically, and like stuff.
Is it, I don't know. I don't know if this is like the same thing. I'm trying to picture it. I remember seeing something like in Universal Studios, like maybe like with the minions and like you like have like a 3D glasses and you
No,
like
it's not like that. It's not like that.
okay.
So
Do you
I
know
have a
the Mummy
question.
ride from Universal?
Oh, that's crazy.
No,
Lord, it's nuts.
Ah,
that was the only thing I know from Universal, and that was a while ago. So I don't exactly like pick like a picture it in my mind. So I might need a reference here. So if you could provide one, that would be cool.
So I have a
Uh,
question.
mhm.
So is the coach, is it like a enclosed coach type thing, or are you actually like, is it like an open coach, like a car thing?
It's like an open coach like a car, so then obviously because then you get more experience that way from you
All
know.
right, because I was at first thinking the way you described it, it reminded me of like a more extreme version of like the Hogwarts Express type thing,
Mm.
but it sounds more like Indiana Jones the more described. Okay, so continue. I want to hear more about Henry's and Spencer's ideas.
Okay. You want to go first, Spencer, or do you want me to?
I feel like I don't know. Like I couldn't really the thing like with yours, Henry. I feel like I can't like exactly like imagine like what is. Could you like explain like sort of like the idea of yours? Like I know what you're
Okay.
talking about. Like, I know like
Have you seen calling like you've seen calling all
yeah,
engines,
I
right?
know that part.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
dream scene and stuff, but I mean like how is it like playing out? Do you like is it like a clown house like a mirror
It's
house?
it's a whole different like part of like the park. So you'll have, you know, Gordon set up as a playground over there, like for kids to play on and stuff. You got James.
Oh,
It's basically its
okay.
own part of the park.
His
Okay.
attraction is basically a section of the park. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Kind of like how Disney has like different sections and other amusement parks have
The
different
Star
sets.
Wars,
The
like the Star
attraction
Wars exhibit
itself
that just opened to
Yeah.
Disney.
is this
Like,
section,
yeah,
is what I'm saying.
I see what you mean now. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So,
You have a
does
very
anybody have anything more to say about anybody else's rides or anything? Anything?
I mean, I'll say this, like, I think what Spencer's yours has to do with like Captain or
captain.
like it's a water ride, right?
Yeah, the captain.
With Captain and then all that stuff. All right. So the thing that I have a problem with that, I mean, it seems like an interesting ride. Like as someone that you know just likes going on rides in general, I would 100% like go on it. But the thing about it is that like it's supposed to be Thomas themed, and I get it. It's Captain. It's a Thomas character. But what most people want to go for in that kind of stuff, like when it comes to like Thomas Land or like trains and stuff, is that they want to come for stuff, you know, that involves rails, like actual train rides or roller coasters or something like themed with, you know, well-known characters, you know, like Percy and Gordon and James and stuff like that, which
Yeah,
is
but you would
something
know
that,
the search and rescue center would be, right?
Well,
yeah, I mean,
but
yeah,
like
it can.
it's
It's
kind
But
of
not
like
like
I
the main
said,
issue with this ride is from what I think it's kind of like the same reason why they don't use captain that much in the real series. There's just not much really. There's not really many
Yeah,
adventures
but
you can
like
have
no
on
one,
the
no
water.
one has ever heard of the dream sequence in Thomas. Like no, like only Thomas fans would know, or like
But
if
it
people
was like
Here-
one of
here's
the.
the thing
It was like
about
a
that
big
is
thing in calling all engines, though.
not only that,
dream,
but
dream
even like I think it could be understandable even if you don't get the reference because one, it has actual, well-known characters such as Percy and Gordon and James, but not only that, but like Percy is a roller coaster, Gordon is a playground, and James is like a carnival game. That's all stuff that's stuff you could actually that would actually work in an actual theme park or in an actual park. They're all park themed things. And even if you don't get the reference to it, I think it would still make sense to have something like that in the park. Like something that's actually park themed and, you don't necessarily need to get the reference, I mean, yeah, that's what it's based on, but it doesn't you don't necessarily have to know to like understand the premise of it. Like you could be like, oh, well, these are all carnival themed. These are all theme park or all carnival themed things. So it makes sense for these to be here.
All right, I'm gonna ask you guys really quick. Give me one reason. I'm gonna pretend to be. I'm designing Thomas Land. Tell me why your attraction in one simple sentence doesn't need to take too long. Why your attraction needs to be in the park over your competitors.
All right.
does
Ryan,
anyone
you
want
can go first. I'm sorry.
All right. Fast, fun, and full with thrills.
Okay. Spencer.
it adds story. It's exciting. There's a drop at the end. It has like a lot of exciting thrills to it and surprises.
All right. And Henry.
It's more than just one ride or one activity or one game. It's a combination of all three of those things. It has recognizable, iconic characters, and it's stuff that would actually make sense to be in a theme park. You would actually expect would actually work in a theme park.
All right, this is very difficult. You guys pitched some nice attractions. I like these ideas. So I'm gonna knock out one, which is one that got kind of beat up on a lot, was Spencer's. Yours was you got talked about for, your ride kind of being just kind of like it's Splash Mountain but with Captain. The other rides were a bit more varied in a sense. Like they really related it more to Thomas, and I think even you were having trouble in your argument relating it to Thomas. And the big drop off at the end, I don't think makes sense thematically with the ride. I don't know if that's like maybe you just didn't explain it that well. I didn't
Yeah, I don't
see,
think I did that very well.
so I don't think it fit in perfectly with your explanation to make that ride justified. So it comes down to between Henry and Ryan. So this is very difficult because Henry did technically pitch 3 attractions, but really his attraction is the area itself, this dreamland that has these 3 parts to it. So that's interesting. And Ryan pitched this Spencer's VIP ride, where he's like zooming you through this enclosed space. And I think of the 3, of the 2, I'm gonna give this point to Henry. And
Let's go!
What? No,
very,
there's no
very
way.
close.
Now it's a tie. Oh my god.
It's a
It's
three-way
a three-way
tie.
Oh, this is
cars.
crazy.
And the first time in Piston Cup history, we have a 3-way tie. So there's only one way I'm going to do this.
The music that plays.
So I have come prepared with a bonus question that none of these contestants even know about.
Oh no.
I actually had to change the question at the possibility of there being a 3-way tie about midway through, I would say. Before, I would say around the 3rd question is when I made the change. And I think this is interesting. So, I assume most of you guys all of you guys collect Wooden Rally, and I assume you're all familiar with the Day Out with Thomas Wooden Rally ones.
I think so.
Yes.
I want you all right now, when I say go, to name which Day Out with Thomas Wooden Rally model is your favorite, or which one is the best, I should say. And
Hold on.
Wait, with Thomas
Hey,
or
hold
any?
on.
so
Let,
the
let us
idea
pull it. Let us pull it up real quick so we can.
Yeah.
All right, so
Like,
you guys
yeah,
gotta
look,
take a look.
just get a
I'll kind of-
glance at it and know what we're talking about, and then we can name it right away.
Yeah. So the idea here is you're going to get a chance to say the model. You're all going to say the model. If anybody argues, whoever I hear this, if somebody says the same thing, I'm going to have to, whoever I hear last is going to have to pick again. And then you'll get 30 seconds each to explain why yours is the best and why someone's isn't as good as yours.
Wait. So is this any Wooden Rally model or just like Day Out with
Any
Thomas?
Day Out with
This
Thomas.
is Day Out with Thomas.
Okay.
This is one. So at every Day Out with Thomas event, there's always an exclusive Day Out with Thomas.
Where's the gallery?
That's what I said.
It's on
Okay,
the,
I'll just cycle through them real quick.
And editing mode, go.
No, this won't take long, I promise.
All right.
Yeah, I'll
there we go.
probably crop a lot of this out. So
I need to look through.
Da da da.
Yeah. I just need to
I'll
glance at
give you
them real
guys a
quick.
minute.
Da 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 da
Be
da
under,
da da.
Merchandise gallery. You get a picture of one of every year.
Oh. Okay. All right.
All right. So
Ready.
Henry, I think you're good, and Ryan,
Almost ready.
I'm ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Spencer.
I feel like,
Do you have I just need to know if you have a choice. I don't need to know which one you're gonna pick.
I guess so.
All right. So when I say go, you're all gonna say your choices really quickly. And then once I figure out which everybody picked, you're gonna have 30 seconds, and I'm gonna time to say your. Oh, a truck just drove by. You're gonna have 30 seconds to say why you think yours is the best, and simultaneously why the others are not as good as yours. So, ready, set, go.
The 2016 Day Out with Thomas and Friends coach.
Okay.
2012 quarry car.
Spencer.
2006 Coal Car.
All right. Ryan, 30 seconds, go.
The reason why this is the best is because it's almost as if the coach is actually at the event and you are within that coach and you're celebrating with the people that it's a Day Out with Thomas event. Unlike the other ones where it's just like a random truck or full of rocks or filled with coal, they're just there. This one is like as if you're actually celebrating with the people the fact that it is Day Out with Thomas today.
Oh, wow, you finished with time to spare. All right, Henry.
Okay, so I like this one because that's when Blue Mountain Mystery came out, and there was Blue Mountain Quarry and stuff. This is a quarry car. It's something themed with this year, and then the coal car. It's nice, but it's just generic coal car. And then it's cool that there's a coach and it's a Day Out with Thomas. It could be seen as a Day Out with Thomas coach, but the same could be said as the 10 years same with the 10 years in America coach. Like there's something just like it, and it's not really themed It might not be themed with it, but it's just the same.
Time. So, Spencer, go.
I think that the 2006 Coal Car would be a great addition to any collector's edition because you can just use it as like a coal car when you're making a layout. You can do a lot with it, and unless it's unlike a coach or what Henry was talking about. I think that you can just put it in any layout, and it can be used as some of a memorable item to remember as when visiting.
All right, so I have my choice, and I'm going to give this point to Ryan.
Yes!
I love the argument about the idea that you could feel like you're there. I liked Henry's point about tying it into the special because a lot of these Day Out with Thomas items honestly don't. In fact, I'm not even sure any of them really do besides that one. So, but I did like the point about the coach. There are other coaches, but you did point out that, that coach is, it's supposed to be you there. So Ryan, you are you are our next Thomas Battles winner. You'll be advancing to the semifinals whenever they will be.
Yay!
You guys did phenomenal. I've never had a Thomas Battles round come really this close where all three contestants made it to the bonus round.
Yeah, I will say, everyone had really good pickings for every round. Like
Oh,
Spencer,
yeah, definitely.
everyone, despite the fact how much I nitpicked everyone, and now I pretty much forced myself to the end, I will admit. Everyone had really good options, honestly. And even if they were not the best, they were clearly, a lot of fun was put into these. I will say that. For all
Yeah,
three.
no,
I
I had way more fun than I
Yeah,
thought.
Henry's,
Like-
the breakfast one was just, I could tell you were just going ham with that with fun.
Yeah, no, I didn't really take that one seriously.
It was
Okay.
really, if health and safety wasn't a thing and you were allowed to do whatever you want, I would go to that. It sounds so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anybody want to have any plugs, any shout-outs for projects you want to talk about?
If you guys, I'll go last. I already talked a lot during this, so I'll let these two go first.
You want to go first, Spencer, or you want me to go?
I guess I'm a little lesser known on YouTube, so I guess I'll go first. I do a lot of remakes currently. I have like a collection video and a couple of remakes uploaded that you guys can check out. I have episode 1 of my first series in the works currently, so I'm gonna start filming for that, and I'm really excited to start this new sort of like new part of my channel. And I feel like at first it's gonna be a little bit slow and like getting used to like sort of like what I'm doing. And I feel like definitely like with this series of mine, like especially I feel like it's gonna like allude to the classic series and like certain episodes you may remember, but it adds more, and like it brings like a new twist to like the stories you like may have grown up with. And I feel like I'm really excited to start this new series. I feel like at first it's not gonna be like super like appealing, but I feel like as time goes on, I feel like it's just gonna build up to this like excitement and like storytelling. So I feel like I'm definitely like putting in a lot of like TV series stuff into it. It's mainly like a TV series series, and I feel like definitely a lot of the stories, especially episode 1, definitely alludes to season 2, which is my personal favorite season. So I'm really excited to share you all what I have to do. And Lego Master, shout out to Lego Master 365 for writing the story for me. So thank you.
All right.
Anybody else have anything to say?
For my channel, just 2 words. Stay tuned. That's all I ask. Stay
All
tuned.
right. As for me, I might as well plug this here. I've been plugging this a lot privately and a little bit on Twitter, but I might as well officially say this. I'm working on something really big on my part. I wouldn't say it's like Tap My Parody big, but it's big for me. And it's, as for right now, to keep it allude to, it's known as the CGI project. And needless to say, if things go well, I've already got some concepts and things like that. And if all things go well, this is going to be a good year for custom making for me. So keep an eye on Twitter and YouTube for some future updates on that. So yeah.
All right. So, this has been Trainking James. I'm here with Riotron 12, Crimson 2091, and Callantale. And this has been Thomas Battle. So see you around, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good day, guys. Please.